hello. So, I read 66 books in 2022 in approximately 10 months. And I'm going to tell you what I liked and what I did not like about the books. So, I have my iPad here because I'm going to be honest with you, majority of the books I did read this year were on Kindle. Yes, Kindle and audiobooks. I did have some physical books, but I did not have a lot of books on my shelves at the beginning of this year. Or beginning of last year. You see I'm a whole year behind because we are in 2025 right now. So, all right, I need to get my Goodreads up so that I can go through them from the beginning to the end because I would never know what order I read them in if I did not have something logging it. This year, last year, give me some grace with it. I used Goodreads to track, and I didn't really get serious with using Goodreads till like the end of the year. And then I also used an online spreadsheet, which that I was not the greatest with, but I was okay with it on a few months. The goal is to get better at that. But the point is, I read 66 books ranging of different genres from historical fiction to romance to fantasy to romantasy, a little bit of nonfiction, but a little bit of everything. So, as my device starts to load, I'm gonna start with the first book. The first book that I read in 2024 was The Coddling of the American Mind. That was a nonfiction book. That started everything. I read this in around February to March, maybe. I read this book. So that's kind of just where I didn't really start early. I didn't start any fiction books till probably deep into May as I'm trying to get this loaded. Okay, sorry. Okay, so according to Goodreads, I read 25,417 pages. I read 66 books. The shortest book I read was The Midnight Prince, which is book 1 in the Once Upon a Prince series. It had 200 pages. And then my longest book was Chloe Walsh at 667. This upcoming year in 2025, my books will be longer. I just feel it because I know that I got to the very end and I realized fantasy was where I was at. So the average length of the book was around 385 pages, which seems about right. Most of the books I read were like around 400 pages. The most shelved books was It Ends With Us, and the least shelved book was gosh, I can't pronounce today. The Viscount Needs a Wife. My average rating was 3.8 stars. Kind of sad about that. And I think the reason why it's that low is because I did read a lot of books I did not like. And I think this rating actually might be a little too generous because there are some books that I realized I rated them way too high. And you're gonna figure out what those books are in a little bit. My highest rated books on Goodreads is The Voice of the Wind by Francine Rivers. My first review of this year is The Perfect Marriage. After this book, I was like, dude, I have to start sharing what I feel during the middle of each of my checkpoints on Goodreads. But my first book I read this year was not fiction, which is crazy because I did read before 2024. I just haven't read in a while. I mostly read nonfiction books in the last like 4 years, and I maybe read a little bit of fiction, sprinkle in maybe an average of like 20 fiction books every year since maybe 2018. Never really tracked them, which kind of sucks because I wish I did, but it's okay. It's okay. But the first book was The Coddling of the American Mind, and it was by Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Hyatt. I loved this book. This was very insightful. I would highly recommend this book for people who are parents who are very curious about like I hate to say this, but the brainwashing that we've gone through in the last couple of years, because I was born in 2020, but I was born in 2000. So I am still part of like Gen Z, but I also feel like I'm not part of Gen Z all at the same time. I don't know how that works, but this really gave me some answers to the way that I thought and the way that I felt manipulated almost when it comes to like the college dream, the adulthood dream. And it all made sense after reading this book. This book is not for everybody. This book is for people who have a scientific mindset, who love research, who loves things backed by sources. If you don't care about this stuff, it's good. It's still good. It's just, I love books that are not just based off thoughts, but facts. This was really good. After this, I actually pre-ordered Jonathan Haitt's newest book, which I have not yet read yet, which sucks because I thought I was going to read it this year. It's okay. But that was that. The Merchant's Daughter was the next book I read. It was by Melanie Dickerson. It was a historical romance. This was like my first taste in historical romances. I didn't know that's what they were called. It's faith-based. This is written to an audience maybe around high school. Clean fiction. I rated this, I think, 4 stars. It wasn't that bad. Would I continue the series? Probably. Would I buy all these books in the series? Yes, because I think I want to build a library of books that I can share with other people that I know other people would like. And it might not be my top book, but it worked. The Grumpy Romance by Nia Authors. It wasn't for me. I did not like it because it was marketed to me as like clean fiction, and it was not even close to clean. I felt like it was just as spicy as all the other books. Just like, I don't know. I felt it was so graphic, and that says a lot to me. For something that's clean, that was claimed and marketed as clean, it was a lot. It's not my cup of tea. Other people would like it. I just didn't. I think I rated it like 2 stars. Not great. A Beast and Beauty by Chana Hong, which is the first book in this trilogy. Or it's not a trilogy, I think there's 5 books. It's called The Daughter of Evil. And I loved this book. This was like my first fantasy of the year. And I kind of was getting kind of happy and fun. I was enjoying it, let's say that. I'm excited to read the next books. I might have to do a reread before I finish the rest of the series. Same with this next book I'm gonna talk to you about, which is Cinder by Marissa Myers. I read that book. These books I both rated 5 stars. But here's also the thing. I don't remember anything of these books. So what? I wanted to continue the series, but I realized I have to go back and reread them. I will reread them. I really enjoyed them at the time. Cinder I did not think I would like, but I enjoyed it so much. I loved it. Not That Into Billionaires by Annika Martin. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember anything about this book. I think I rated it 3 stars. It's okay. It's okay. Honestly, let me be honest. I wouldn't read it again. I wouldn't recommend this book to anybody because I don't remember the plot. The next one I read was The Unwanted Assistant, A Billionaire Romance by Evangeline Kelly. How should I say this? It was good. It was sweet. It was a faith-based romance. I would recommend it to somebody because I think it's like easy, clean fiction that's interesting, that I think people would enjoy. Is it one of my top books? No, but I would still recommend it. Half Empty by Catherine Bybee, maybe? I wouldn't recommend it. I don't remember the book. People loved it, don't like it, don't remember it, so probably not important. But I still rated this book really high. I rated this 3 stars. I might go back and change them, but I think at the time I want to be honest to those ratings because I would have to reread them to change the ratings, the way my brain works. Didn't really like it that much. Okay, Beautiful Lies by Felicity Elaine. It was very interesting. This was a faith-based mafia romance. Didn't think this genre existed, and it does. She does really well. I wouldn't recommend this book to a younger audience. The last 4 books, Just Not That Into Billionaires, Unwanted Assistant, could be recommended to high schoolers. Half Empty, adult book. Beautiful Lies, adult book, but it's faith-based. So yeah, I rated that I think 4 or 5 stars. No, it was not 5 stars. I think I rated it 4 stars, but it was still pretty good. I would recommend this book to people who love dark romance but don't like the spice. It works. The Wicked Prince, I rated this 5 stars. This is another book in the Once Upon a Prince. It is a Robin Hood retelling. I rated this book actually 5 stars. I don't remember this book, but I know in the midst of it, I remember the feeling I had. So 5 stars for me is a feeling. I don't just give out 5 stars just like that, as you will start to realize. The next book I read was Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. Note, I have DNF'd this author multiple times, and I gave this second book in the series a chance, and I enjoyed it. I really did. Yeah, it's not too bad. The next one, The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. Another 5 stars. I loved this book. I would reread this book. I would recommend this book because out of all of Francine Rivers' books, this by far is one of the easiest to read and get into. So I would. A Voice of the Rin, which is the next book I read by Francine Rivers, I rated 4 stars. I haven't finished the series yet, but I did enjoy it. This is a harder book to read. If you have not read Francine Rivers before, she's the type of author that you gotta give her a little bit. She does a lot of like character and plot development at the beginning of her books, and you gotta give it some time. I enjoyed it. I want to continue it. The next book I read was Rest and War by Ben Stewart. That was a nonfiction book. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. I think I would listen to this on audiobook. I don't really rate nonfiction books. I just tell you if I liked it or if I don't and what I liked about it. The next thing, The Inheritance Games. This is the first one in the trilogy. I think I rated this book 4 stars. It wasn't too bad. It was okay. It was interesting to the point that I finished the series. Or no, I didn't finish the series, but it made me continue on reading. The next one, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. This is my favorite, all-time favorite book as of right now. I love it. On top of, like, excluding the first 3 books in the selection, but Mariana Zapata, I read it twice this year. I read it in June, and then I read it again in December. This is my book. Is it everybody's book? No. It's a slow burn marriage of convenience. Amazing. It's a sports romance actually as well. The next one by Mariana Zapata that I read, I was binging her at this point, was All Roads Lead Here. I rated it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It was interesting. I would recommend it to other people. The next one I read was Culty by Mariana Zapata. It was also pretty good. I rated it 4 stars. Not too bad. My next book, Beauty and the Beast. It is a book in the timeless fairy tales. This is definitely YA fantasy. I think I rated it 3 stars. It wasn't great, but I think that it wasn't written to a different audience. So that's that. The Midnight Prince is another book I also read by Angie Gruja. I'm not even gonna try it, but it's another book in the Once Upon a Prince series. I think this is the 3rd book by now that I've read. It wasn't bad. It was cute. It's written to a younger audience. It is YA. Followed by that, I read So That Happened by Katie Bailey. Read this on Kindle. She is one of my favorite authors on top of Mariana Zapata. I love it. She creates fun, closed-door romance. I don't want to say clean because I definitely think this is an adult-focused book, but it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's a cute rom-com. She makes really good ones, and I love it. So that's that. The next thing I did was I finished the Inheritance Game series, Hawthorne Legacy, and The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn by Marnes. This series kind of just started going downhill for me. The second book was all right. I think I rated it 4 stars the same way, and then the Gambit 3 stars. It wasn't bad. I just didn't want to finish the series. I think I've learned that some authors just need to stop their series and stop continuing them and just make a new one. That's just me. I don't like things dragged out. Next book, When an Earl Meets His Match by Stacey Reid. It's a historical romance. I wouldn't recommend it. I think I rated it 3 stars. I can see people liking it. I finished it, which is why I rated it 3 stars. But it's not written to me. Definitely say that. I read the book 1 in the Boys of Tomlin series by Chloe Walsh. I loved it. I want to rate this book 5 stars, but it's definitely a 4 star. The reason why is just I don't think this is a book I'd recommend to everybody. And it's only because the language is very harsh. It's just very different. This is a deep, emotional, character-driven series. So if you're not into that, don't read it. Don't. I'm just giving you a heads up so you don't waste your time. The next one, Esther, Royal Beauty. I've read this on audiobook actually, and I have the physical book too, but it was okay. I think I rated it high 3 stars. The next book, When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I rated it 3 stars. I don't remember anything from this book. I want to give her another chance. I just think I started reading romances when I was not in the mood for romances, and it just kind of was going downhill. That's where my next book, The Bodyguard by Catherine Centers, I think I rated this one also 3 stars. I want to give Catherine Centers a chance because I think I really enjoy her books. I just was not in the mood for her books. So I'm gonna read it again in 2025, don't worry, because I know this is an author I should love. The next book, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of ate it up. I love this one. I rated it 4 stars. I watched the movie and then I hated it. The movie was horrible. The movie did not do this book justice, and I think this book gave a good awareness to people who are going through like abuse, and I loved it. I Think He Knows by Katie Bailey was also pretty good. Also enjoyed it. 4 stars. Wait for It by Mariana Zapata. Still enjoyed that one. 4 stars. Look, these 4 stars, don't still read them. It's a great. They're amazing. The next one I read was A Luna in the Lie by Mariana Zapata. 4 stars. Amazing. Will always look. This is my 5th book by now of Mariana Zapata, and can you tell she's not one of my favorite authors? Okay, The Fairest of Heart by Karen Whitmire. It's a historical Christian romance. I enjoyed it enough to get the 2nd book that just came out in 2024. Have not read it yet, but I will read it in 2025. That was pretty good. That was high 4 stars, just not the 5-star feeling. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I want to love it. I really want to love this series, but I dreamed of reading this series since high school, and then now that I read it, I'm like, it's not how I hyped it. It was hyped up to be. And 2, I watched the movie on Netflix, so I kept comparing it, so it took me forever to read this book. But people do enjoy it. We'll see. I'm gonna try to finish up the series in this first quarter, and I'll give a good review on this series. The next one, King of Wrath by Anna Hong. This is when I realized her books are not for me. She's just not an author for me. Some people might love it. It's just written to a different audience. I rated King of Wrath 3 stars. I don't think I would read another book by her, mostly because I just don't want to waste my time reading books that I automatically know are like 3 stars. I want to enjoy my reading if I have to sit down for hours and read it. The Duchess's Deal by Tessa Dare. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember this book. It's a historical romance. Probably rated it 3 stars. Still probably wouldn't recommend it. Don't read it. And if it's your thing, go for it. I do love historical romance. It just wasn't it. Archer's Voice was one of my most disappointing reads because it started off amazing. It started off great. Then it went downhill. And I think this is where I realized that some authors' books don't need spice. And she did. And she ruined everything because the rest of the book was all spice. And I'm not gonna lie, the main male character is an actual great character. Just you never know anything about them until the epilogue. Please, oh please, you wasted my time. That's Archer's Voice. As I said, people like it. I just wasn't one of those people. Hello Stranger by Catherine Centers. It was a pretty decent book. I think I rated it like 3, maybe 4 stars. I'm not sure. As I told you before, when I was reading Catherine Centers' books, I don't think I was in the mood for her, and I still read it because I felt like I was trying to get through books off my TBR. I'm gonna reread her because I have to give her the benefit of the doubt because I know I've enjoyed her books while reading it, and I know her books are books I would have rated 5 stars because when I'm comparing it to other books I've rated 5 stars, I'm like, that would be true. But I don't know what happened with the Goodreads. It's okay. The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I loved this book, actually. I could be gullible. This was probably my first like psychological suspenseful book. I don't read a lot of thrillers. I don't read a lot of mysteries. This was good, and I could be gullible, but I could not anticipate the ending, and I actually enjoyed it. I rated it 5 stars. Ha! And I'm actually gonna read the next book. I wish it kind of just ended with this, but it's okay. She has another book coming out this year, which is like a duology to this. The next one, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It was all hyped up. It was all right. It was all right. I think I maybe rated it like 3 or 4 stars. It was great. I need to finish the series so I can just be done with it, but I would keep it because I think this is books that I think it's enjoyable. That's what I'm gonna say. The next one, What You Wish For by Catherine Centers. I did enjoy this book. I think I rated it 4 stars. As I said, I want to reread her books because I know that right now I would enjoy them. The next one, It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I loved this one too. I think I preferred this better than It Ends With Us. It was so sweet. It was so good. It gave me enough. I got to get enough of the point of view from the guy that I actually cared about. But as I said, I'm not really a Colleen Hoover fan, but this one wasn't bad. This isn't bad. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garner. This is probably one of my fantasy books that I was looking forward to, and it disappointed me. I'm not gonna lie. The first book, 3 stars. I don't get how this first book connected with the second and the third book, but I enjoyed the second book more than the first, and the third book was like 5 stars for me. It just was a very weird series, Very weird series. My Dark Romeo, I read it. I don't remember anything about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. And it's probably because it wasn't that important. And it was would I read it again? No. Would I recommend it to somebody? No. All right, next one. The Bookshop on the Corner. I love this book. Literary fiction with a romance subplot. Amazing. Would recommend it again, would read it again, would read other books by this author. The next one, Daydream by Hannah Grace. Never felt more seen and more heard in my life than this book. I just never thought I would enjoy a Hannah Grace book because the first book, I saw everybody's reviews on it and I didn't want to read a book of spice. Second book, same thing. Somebody came out with a review on it and I said, you know, maybe I might like it. And I tried it and I enjoyed it, every minute of it. Next one. The next book in the Boys of Tomlin series, Keeping 13. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It took me forever to read it, but it was pretty good still. Would recommend it just as much as the first book. Out on the Limb. Really good romance. It was a romance trope that I didn't think I would like, which is a pregnancy trope. Don't really like pregnancy trope books. I normally stay away from them because they're kind of not my thing. And I enjoyed it. It was sweet. 4 stars. Belladonna. 4 stars. It was good. I'm finishing up the last book with Steria. So that's great. My favorite series of this year that I have not yet finished yet, Zodiac Academies. I read the first 3 books. The Awakening, Ruthless Phase, and The Reckoning. Amazing. I love it. 10, 5, ooh, I think it might be a 5 out of 5 stars series. I can't wait to finish it. I will finish it this year though. I just need a break because I binged these 3 books in less than a week, and her books are like mad thick. Would love it. Amazing. Continuing. In Search of a Prince. It was sweet. It was cute. It was a faith-based romance. 4 stars. Pretty good. Would recommend it to other people, which is why it's at a 4 star. A Deal with Elf King. I loved it. I loved seeing a romantic fantasy that is clean but still has the angst. Love it. Would read the rest of the books. Ballad of Never After, A Curse of True Love. Those are the last 2 books in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I read them. I enjoy them. They're okay. They're okay. The Viscount Needs a Wife. I think I enjoyed this one. This was a historical romance. It wasn't that bad. It was so sweet. It was cute, and I loved it. I really did. It was sweet. House of Lies and Sorrows. This is a romantic fantasy, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember it. And I recently read it, but I think I wanted to continue the series, so I don't know what I'm gonna do because I don't remember it. Oh gosh, this is the downside of like not fully investing in books. Almost done, guys. Foxglove by Adeline Grace. 5 stars. Amazing. Literally, Belladonna series, this one had like the whole series I loved. I loved every last bit of it. The next one, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Don't waste your time. Don't do it. Don't do it. People loved it this year. Don't do it. Don't do it. I just think that there are a lot better, sweet romances that you can read. Is it folly? Is it gives you the vibes? Yes, it certainly does. That's why I bought the book. But it's 3 stars. Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. I DNF'd. I didn't like it. I think it wasn't written to me. But it also, the female character was very annoying. Very like, the guy character was a very nice, genuine person. And there is nothing that could say like, oh, this person was a bad guy. The guy was a bad guy. And she was just so annoying. But yeah, I don't want to keep ranting about this book because to some people they might have liked it. It's okay. Next one, The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter, 4 stars. I enjoyed this book. I loved this book. It was fun, whimsical, Christmas romance, and I liked it. I ate it up. It was closed door, was it? Yes, it was closed door. Really appreciate it. It was great. I liked it. Heartless Hunter. Still haven't rated this book. I do not know. Part of me wants to give it a 5 stars. Part of me wants to give it 4 stars. I loved this book so much to the point where the book ended and I'm like, what just happened? And when a book does that to me, I think that's it. Okay. I wish I ended on like a good note, but I didn't. Marvelous by Molly Greenlee is it's supposed to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling. That was not the Beauty and the Beast retelling that I thought I was gonna get into. It was infuriating, but I think this was a good book. I rated it 3 stars. And I know I said all the things that if I rated 3 stars, it's not good. It was just the language was very hard for me to read, and it's hard to recommend this book to people because the language is just really hard. So Marvelous, it was 3 stars. The Unwanted Marriage by Catherine Mara. This was one I read. I actually just DNF'd this book and was not wanting to bring it into 2025. That was just with this book. I got to 75% in like maybe November or October, and I never picked it back up again. I got to a point where this was like a dark romance, and I know right now that I'm not into dark romances like this. I stopped it at 75% because I knew I reached my capacity. In case you don't know, I have a capacity with a lot of books, which is probably why a lot of these books were like, a lot of these historical romances or romance books was rated so low. Once I pass like 3 to 4 spice scenes that I can skip, meaning that I can go a page or two and skip them or finish and like skip to the next chapter, most of the time those books are rated a little bit higher. Like Daydream was not very, there wasn't a lot of spice scenes in that. But this one, by 74%, I was not wanting to finish it. And I put it down. So I wouldn't recommend it. That was all I read in 2024. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my reading, even though I wish that I read more things that I wanted to. But it's okay. This year, I actually started some good books already. I've already finished 2, and I'm really excited about them. And this year is all about clearing my shelf, reading up everything I have before I buy anything more. Because I think this year I want to really focus on like under consuming. And what I mean by under consuming, I just mean like not buying more than what I need. Because not saying that I need all those books, but I'd rather like buy books as I read them than to binge and stockpile a whole bunch of books and slowly get to it. So I listed off some books that I liked, some books I didn't like, books I'd recommend, would not recommend. This video I know is a very long one because it was a good amount of books. And next year it's gonna be even longer because I already know I'm reading more than what I read this year because I have more time. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I read 66 books this past year, and those are some of the ones I liked, disliked, would recommend, and not. So I hope you have a great one, and I hope you're reading some good books in January of this year. Happy New Year, and I hope you have a great one. Bye.